Perhaps the biggest trade in this competition's history is likely to unravel all those rumors of Sanju Samson potentially wearing yellow. They might be coming true. And with that, might be a reunion of a 2008 champion, Ravindra Jadeja, going the other way. This is chatter at its most explosive best. This is an all-timer conversation. Nagraj, Ronak, Dustin, who wants to go first? Of course, Nagraj, it is you. Break the news.
You broke the news. You already broke the news in your intro. But it is, as you say, probably for me personally, covering IPL from the first year, the biggest trade in the tournament's history. Player to player. I'm not talking one way because that will be Hardik Pandya in any case a few years ago. But player to player, this is the biggest trade. It is amazing that CSK have decided to release one of their all-time greats. I mean, the guy can only be counted in the same breath, probably not as MS Dhoni, of course. MS Dhoni will always remain top, but probably Suresh Raina comes close or Dwayne Bravo comes close. But I think Jadeja occupies his own pedestal in the CSK Hall of Fame. So clearly, this is a massive thing. It was not lighthearted. It was like well discussed from the information that I gathered from all sides. Why now? You can look at it from as shocking as it can be. Why now, when especially a player who's Jaddu, we are talking about, has had two of his best seasons with both bat and ball in the last 2 years. This is more like a mix of, I think, forward thinking from the franchise. They seem to think that at the age that Jaddu is, he's already retired from T20 international cricket last year, and moving forward with age, etc., possibly, and the form that he is in, and the sort of, especially in bowling, the numbers, etc., suggest they indicated that probably they think that shouldn't we invest in someone younger? Yes, it is a massive blow to them in that sense, but they feel that they are confident that this is part of the CSK evolving and kind of moving towards the next phase.
So Jadeja and Karan. And Ronak, automatically it feels like one of those common gaping holes of Rajasthan Royals for several seasons. Two all-rounders, but Samson leaving.
Yeah, so it's a big news, but I think over time we'll realize it's not shocking. It's good business. I think it's a better, if you just go down to the gaps that it does fill, it fills more gaps for Rajasthan, who really struggle with an Indian spinner, and Hasaranga and Thikshana were not able to fill those, have that impact there. And Jadeja the batter, honestly, what Jadeja the batter gives you is a bonus in T20 and IPL cricket. If you're relying on Jadeja to give you high impact with the bat, I think there's a lot of issues with the makeup of your squad. Then we know what Jadeja is. He's a complementary player as a batter, but he can be a really good. He's a banker of a bowler. It's certainly improved as a bowler in the IPL. So for me, damn good. Sam Curran's great. I don't think he was utilized to full potential last year. I know personally he loves CSK. So this will perhaps hurt a little bit, but it's a good franchise to go to. So that's that. I think it's a really smart bit of business, and well done to both franchises.
The biggest thing will be he'll be immediately taking the gloves as soon as Dhoni decides, as and when, whether he decides now, whenever he decides, there's already a keeper in place who will grow with the franchise, who will play for the rest of his career at that franchise. I'm pretty sure that's what they would have thought about all these kind of things.
When we learned that Sanju wants to leave RR, I honestly saw it hurting RR quite a bit, both in terms of their brand value, and I did not think that they would be able to get this profile of player in. So in that sense, yes, they've made the best of what is somewhat a forced situation, because the push to leave did come from Sanju, but well done to RR for at least bringing in a big name player in Jadeja, who does give you a little bit of that brand value as well. And then also, these are two key positions where RR have struggled for not just last season, but the last 3 seasons. They've not had all-rounders, and that has made it very difficult for them to balance their side. They've had this strain strategy. They're one of the only franchises that goes in with a certain number of batters and then often puts in a batting impact sub in the first innings. Those kind of tactics, which weren't working, should not, be necessary now. And I think as much as Jadeja is an important player, Sam Curran could also be a really important player for RR. He showed a little bit towards the back end of last season that batting-wise, he's still capable of playing those impact innings. As a bowler, he's got, those variations, the moon ball, etc. So you're talking about a player in Karan who, yes, his form is a little up and down, but at least on potential, the ceiling for him is quite high.
Yeah, and I'll just point out that Karan, the batter, has been a massive, massive improvement. And in what is now, if for the memory that fans would have of someone who's more of a finisher, he has for the last 2 years done the bulk of his batting at number 4 and number 5. And in those two positions, in across all T20s, he has 1,800 runs at an average touching 40 and a strike rate above 140. So Rajasthan, and these have been such big almost every season for the last 3 years. The point of conversation around Rajasthan has been three great batters, 2 or 3 great bowlers. That middle now looks a lot better.
One point, important point, Rajasthan wise. And this concerns Jadeja. Sanju goes, they have a vacancy for the captaincy immediately because everyone will think it could be a Riyan Parag, it could be somebody else. But I suspect it would be Jadeja. And Jadeja himself has been very ambitious. This is a difficult call that RR will have to take, or a challenging call. Let's not put it difficult, because because Jadeja has never, from what I understand, he definitely is very, very keen to lead the team. Now a franchise it didn't work out. I think he led for what, 8 matches or something at CSK in his career. That's it. It didn't. He had to step down, etc. But he still is very keen. Now whether RR believe in him, whether Sangakkara and Manoj Badale, who is the RR owner, they believe in him, is going to be important. And remember, this is a player who who has won the IPL or at RR in 2008 when they were the inaugural champions. So he already knows the franchise in a way. So yeah, this is going to be a call, but don't be surprised if Jadeja is Rajasthan Royals captain.
There was a time where you thought spinners dominant CSK, where Mitch Santner never got game time because Jadeja was a banker. Now Santner's at MI, Ashwin is retired, Jadeja's been traded. Suddenly Noor Ahmed is your lead spinner, right? And that is around whom you will base your entire bowling plan. Maybe a sign of how the conditions were not in their control, which Stephen Fleming said on more than one occasion at the last IPL, that we're a bit surprised as to how these wickets are. But who knows if those conditions change or remain the same going forward. That's just on a CSK front, but clearly they identify Dubey's value over Jadeja's at this stage, and you can see merit in that. As far as RR go, they in a way had prepared for the possibility of Samson, the player, being redundant because of Vaibhav Suryavanshi, but teams will come prepared for Vaibhav Suryavanshi. It's going to be hard for him to back what he did last year as like a banker at the top of the order with Jaiswal. The keeping option is taken care of with Dhruv Jurel, but it's still an interesting kind of, I mean, I'm not saying it's a bad deal, but it's just different. There's so much that is different about this.
One thing that might open up is the possibility that they bring in an overseas opener, because if they have Jadeja replacing either Hasaranga or Tishana, that opens up maybe a slot in the batting order for another overseas player. One of the other conversations last year was about how their top 5 were all Indians, and you need to get one overseas player in there.
Before we close this conversation, just to look at a bigger picture, a macro lens, these trades, as much as they make sense for both sides, these are conversations that we have internally usually had and almost felt like it's stuff of fantasy. That, oh, it makes a lot of sense for this team to trade this person for that person. Dustin, we do this internally a lot of times, but it's never happened in IPL's history. So could this perhaps be a bit of a turning point with more franchises perhaps looking in this direction?
So, if I may, I think a lot of unique circumstances have to come together for something like this to take place. Whether these circumstances will be more common going forward, because this is the first major trade both ways since the 10 teams came into existence. And you now have a core that has still been established even after one big auction for at least 4 to 5 teams. The 4 that made the playoffs last year, you're not going to see drastic changes. And I would even throw in KKR for that matter, even though they're a disappointing season, they have a pretty settled team. And I would probably even say the same of Lucknow. They have issues, but there is an identifiable core. So, you're left with just 2 or 3 teams that will even be willing to entertain a trade of a high profile player because they're in the same boat as you. And CSK and RR, let's make no mistake of it, they will have to improve their squad tremendously at the auction as well. This is not something that just, they can go with as now we don't have much to do. So they will still need a lot to improve on. And the most important thing here is a major player has to trigger this. And it has come through Sanju Samson's desire to leave his long-term franchise. And in some way, you have to, not like Ravindra Jadeja can say, no, I don't want to go to RR, but I'm sure he can if he wants to, or he could say, I don't wish to be part of this trade. So there have to be a lot of factors of prominent players accepting these things, which doesn't happen often.
But-
Whether that is a likelier trend going forward, who knows? But like Nagraj said at the top, it's a really good point. This is what trades are for.
And imagine CSK, a five-time winning champion. The thinking is changing. You can see it's their only second trade in their entire history. The first one, quiz question for the quiz master. Who's that?
First
There's-
CSK trade.
The first
CSK trade.
There has only been one trade CSK have made. I'll give
Was
you a
it-
hint. It's only one
Please.
involved all cash deal, so it's not a player to player.
Shardul
All
Thakur.
cash
No, it
deal.
wasn't Shardul. Who was it? What year was it?
Give
Nagraj?
a time. Yeah, give a timeline. Give a hint.
I think post-COVID, yeah.
So they
Immediately
brought
post-
somebody in.
They
So they brought
traded-
somebody in.
They,
I remember this. What?
Okay, can I give you one more hint?
yes, please.
Batter.
Post
And made a significant impact.
Was it Robin
And
Uthappa?
it involved, now I give you
No,
a
they bought
final
Robin
hint if you
Uthappa.
don't get it. It
It in-
involved, what did you say?
It involved.
It
you
involved
say?
Rajasthan Royals.
What, Robin Uthappa? Someone said Robin
Yes.
Uthappa.
Yeah,
I
Dustin
said
said
Someone
Uthappa.
said Robin.
Yeah.
Well done, Dustin.
Well done,
Yeah.
Nagraj. Okay, Samson is a super king. Ravindra Jadeja is a royal again.